Hey everybody, it's Doug here. Doug Mysticon, Board Game Geek. Doug Herring on YouTube. I'm coming to you with my next segment, my top 50 co-op and soloable games of, I will say, 2016. That doesn't mean they were produced in 2016. It means it's just the ones I'm playing right now and enjoy, and the ones that make my top list of over 100 ones that I reviewed. This episode here is going to be number 39 through 30. And I'm going to quickly cover the rules, and I'm going to get right into it. So the rules on this are that it must be cooperative, it must also be soloable, cannot have a built-in trader mechanic like Battlestar Galactica does, and where you have to have a trader, and cannot be a one versus many game at its core. So that being said, I'm going to dive right in. You know, in the last one we covered my top my top 40 through 50. I haven't been able, because I'm filming this pretty close to the other one, so I haven't been able to see if there's a ton of feedback yet. Maybe there's no feedback. I'm filming this in the same hour that I filmed the other one. That's why I haven't changed close. So that's where we're at. And I'm going to get right into my next series of games. So I'm going to start with number 39. 39 is an older game. It's technically not cooperative, but it feels like it. It's a storytelling game. It can be and it can be played solo very well, which is one of the reasons it's on my list. That is Tales of the Arabian Nights. This game is so fun to play. It's got, it makes you laugh. It's just got these crazy story elements. Anything can happen to your character. It's got a book that's like that thick, full of storylines. I likened it last time I talked about Agents of Smersh, which was my number 49. This one's a little higher on the list because I like the theme better than I like the spy theme of Agents of Smersh. I like the fantasy Arabian Nights type theme better, and you're playing characters like Aladdin and Alibaba and all, blah blah blah. And it's just fun. I mean, your character develops along the way, and all this crazy things can happen to me. They can get married, they can get divorced, they can have their spouse die. You can fly on a magic carpet. You can get attacked by crazy creatures. You can get leprosy or crippled, and it's just fun. And if you take it as kind of more of a lighthearted romp in fun, you're really gonna like it. If you like sitting down with the family and telling a pretty M-rated story sometimes, keep that in mind if you got young children. You will enjoy it. I would say this is teens to adult, not for kids. I would say, the tweenies that are reading Twilight, things like that's about the age you can start to play this game, because it does really, really do it up on the theme of crazy and weird stuff, and it can be very adult in some of the storylines. Again, the book is so well written, the storylines in it are so well done, that it makes it very enjoyable for everybody playing. It was really a good game. So that is number 39, Tales of the Arabian Nights. You can still find it. I think you can get it just about anywhere. I've had my copy forever, so I don't remember how long I've had it or where I bought it from, but it's been on my shelf, and it's not going anywhere. One of the things about all these top 50, with the exception of a couple where like I said, Galaxy Defenders I traded away for something else, most of them are staying on my shelf. They're going to be there hopefully indefinitely because I enjoy them, and there's a lot to be said about these games. All right, next up on my list, number 38 is a newer edition. I'm going to call it Dead of Winter Light. Yeah, and I only say light because the mechanics have been streamlined. And this is a game where you're playing in an aftermath world, and you have one mission. That is, get to the City of Salvation. And that game is called Salvation Road, where you are a group of survivors in an encampment, fortified encampment, that know that their reactor or their power plant is about to go nuclear, and you got to get out of there, get a truck, get out of there, and get to Salvation. But bad things are happening to you. There's these enemy outlaws and bandits that are coming at the gates, and you have to go out and explore, and it raises the awareness of the bandits because they know you're getting out and you're looking at stuff and they're coming after you. Each player, this is one of the unique things about the game. One of the things I really like is each person plays two characters. You play a main survivor, and then like a Rick on The Walking Dead, and then your other character is like a secondary character, one that you know's probably going to die, and they don't have a lot of skills. They're more like dead weight, like the chick that ran the pantry on The Walking Dead. I can't remember her name, but spoiler alert, she just got offed recently. But yeah, so you're playing these two characters, and everybody has two, and they kind of counterbalance each other. One's really strong, one's not. One causes you more problems, but you got to have them both out doing things to be efficient and win the game, which makes it really interesting. I like it. Salvation Road. So the other thing I like about it is these Polaroid type cards you put down for the locations on the board. It's really neat. You gather resources, you fill your truck with resources, and you have to make some decisions. Do I spend the resources to help my encampment or defend our encampment? Do I spend the first aid kit to heal, or do I put it in the truck so that we have enough stuff to get to salvation? Because if we don't make it all the way with all the stuff we need, we lose. That's one of the ways you lose the game. And once you've committed to that road trip, you're done. Your power plant's left behind. It's been overrun by raiders, and the plant's going to blow up in your history. So the only downside I'll say to the game is that trek at the end. If you haven't planned well, you're going to lose, and you can't take it back. But that's okay, because I kind of like that aspect. It gives you like this finality, like, okay, we're leaving. You get in the truck and you go. So that's Salvation Road. That is number 38 for me. 37, number 37 is going to climb higher on my list. I just need to get more plays in it. It's a deck builder. Yes, deck builder. I think it's qualified as a deck builder. And it has some mechanics that I really like. It's called Aeon's End. And in this, you are playing these wizards that are using these rifts. They're powering spells from these rifts to defeat these creatures that are coming from said rifts to destroy the world. And you're in this underground last bastion city where crystals now are powering your abilities as a wizard to defend against these creatures. And there's this boss monster, and each of the bosses, now I have the Kickstarter, so I have like 6 bosses as opposed to 4 or 7 or whatever. Each of them is really unique in the way they play, so each one plays differently. It reminds me of Sentinels of the Multiverse, where each of the villains play so differently. Really cool mechanics in it. The way that you have to open up more rifts to power more spells is cool. And the biggest cool thing about it is you don't shuffle your deck. So you get to stack your deck with stuff you did, and you kind of get to reorder it the way you want to. And then when you draw, then you're going to get those cool cards back again in the order you want. And that makes it really different. Gives you a lot more control. Surprisingly, still difficult enough. It's not one of the most difficult deck builders or co-op games that I've played. I think top of that would be Ghost Stories of difficulty level. But it's still really good, and I know you'll enjoy it. That is Aeon's End, and it's a newer game. I don't know if you can get it retail yet or not. I know you can probably find it out there on the BGG store or on Amazon or eBay. Aeon's End, really good game, by the way. If you do like deck builders and you want to try something with some different mechanics, I highly recommend it. Both fantastic as a co-op and a solo game. All right, that is number 37. 36. 36, a tough one. Definitely good co-op game. Don't know if it's a good soloable, but not as good a solo game for my work doing the videos, because and other people have done a really good job with it. Ricky Royal did one. It was good. It's called Mistfall. Mistfall, I love the game. The characters, they have their own deck, very unique way of playing through the deck. That's actually what makes it more difficult, is the way you play through the deck. There's a lot of card interaction and activity going on as you're exploring locations with this group of characters. Each character feels unique and different. Each location has its own unique thing about it, and the boss you're after tells a story. Makes it very cool. I like it. The artwork is really good. It's got 2 expansions now, and that's why this may go up higher on my list after I play through the expansions. I have not played them yet. I haven't, just haven't played through them yet. Anyway, Mistfall is, it was a Kickstarted game. It has, again, each character has their own deck. I'm posting some pictures for it, so I know you'll see that. Great artwork, great mechanics, a little more difficult. Learning curve steep, not for new players. This is definitely one for the veterans. That is Mistfall. Okay, number 35, and this is kind of a broad category. Some of these wouldn't even make my list, actually. Probably the first one, even though it was unique, and it was unique, it probably wouldn't even be on this list. But it were for the other ones, the ones that came later in the series, that made my list, and that is the D&D. I don't remember what you call them. The Dungeons and Dragons board games. And I'm not talking about the tactical miniature fight ones. I'm talking about the exploration ones. So it started with Castle Ravenloft. And when Castle Ravenloft first came out, I thought it was fantastic. I played the heck out of it. It was great. You have a miniature, you have a hero. It's D&D 3, I think. I can't remember what edition these model after. But it's really good. and you're playing through a storyline. There's all these different scenarios you can build up to it, different amount of players, etc. And you use all these D&D powers, makes it cool. And in Castle Ravenloft, you're fighting against Vlad, the vampire, ultimately. That was a good game. This it probably wouldn't be on my current top 50. It would definitely have been on there when it came out. But then they came out with the next one, which was really good. I probably enjoyed that one overall the most, and that's Wrath of Ashardalon. And that's the one with, it's the same mechanics and everything, just they've improved it. Cool, a dragon monster that you have to fight at the end. And there's been a couple others. They did one, The Legend of Drizzt, which is the dark elf from the D&D series. So as a collective, they are in my top 50 for sure at this rank. Some would have been higher, some would have been lower. If I just took Wrath of Ashardalon by itself, it may have ranked much higher on my top 50. Anyway, they're good games, and I highly recommend them if you like dungeon crawl games with friends. That is cooperative, challenging, and fun. It is also really good solo if you just want to, because you can just play with one character and still enjoy it. Be pretty tough. Or you can play solo with multiple characters, and yeah, you can do that way too. Anyway, that is the Dungeons & Dragons board games, which for me came in as a collective at 35. Okay. Next up is a really unique game. This is by Devious Weasel Games, and I did do a playthrough of it. The reason this is where it's at on my list is because I think it's a gamer's game again. I don't think it's really accessible. One thing's about co-op, and that I like to focus on with co-op games and storytelling games is the fact that they're accessible by people that aren't hardcore gamers or even gamers in some cases. This one definitely falls more into the gamers category, and it is called Shadows of Malice. Now, Jim, the designer, it's really a great game, and it's got the other thing, it's got minimalistic art, which is fine for the game. And in it, you play an avatar, and you're trying to beat the darkness, and it is a really hard game. It's got a really neat mechanic with the monsters in it that evolve and change as they go. Not individually, but as you bring more on the board, they have different attributes when you fight them. The monsters on the board have different attributes, and you build up powers with these avatars. And the avatars are beings of light that you play. They're not like it's not like a thief or a rogue, but they definitely have aspects, and they use these power crystals to generate their abilities. This is starting to sound familiar because some other games do that too. Yeah, so it is really neat. I played it in my playthrough. It starts with this central board, and then you build this board out around it. And again, the artwork's minimalistic on it. The production value is very good. The game components are solid. The game itself is really solid and fun to play. It's one if you're a kind of a hardcore gamer, it's a more developed gamer, I would recommend finding it and picking it up, because it's probably going to be higher on your list than mine, because I took into the aspect of the fact that I bring a lot of people into the hobby that don't necessarily play a lot of games. And I keep doing that. And so I want to have games that are accessible, and this one's not as accessible. Still a fantastic game. Shadows of Malice. That's number 34 for me. Okay. Number 33 is a game that is very accessible, is very co-op friendly. Well, it's a co-op game, and is very soloable. It should be higher on my list. I'm trying to figure out why it's not. I guess because there are just other games that I like more. It is called Samurai Spirit. It's a little box game. It's not a huge game. One of the things I love about it is that you have these samurai that become animals. And hold on, I got to take a drink of something. I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I was talking too much and needed to get some water in me. Anyway, I was talking about Samurai Spirit, a little board game where you're trying to defend a village. It reminds me of Seven Samurai. You have I think it's, you can have up to 4 players in it, maybe 5. I have to look, I'll post it here, you'll see what it is. But you play a samurai who's got some unique abilities. They can also share those abilities around with each other. And every turn you're going to draw cards that are of these bandits, just like Seven Samurai. They're going to be attacking this village, and they get tougher as you go, so you keep shuffling tougher and tougher ones into it before you reach the end. And if you can defend the village and keep the huts up and keep the civilians alive and mend the fences while at the same time fighting like crazy, you're in good shape. And there's an interesting decision-making process in the mechanics of the game, where on one thing you can build up a whole bunch of people you kill, and the other one there's these symbols, and you can just automatically take these guys down by using the symbols, but there's only 3 of those slots available during that round, and Once you fill them up, you can't do that again, which makes it really interesting. Also, the way you can share, like I can give a token of my samurai's ability to someone else to use in a later round, which makes it really cool, and they can double up on the power. It's neat. They have to use it that next turn. And then if I get beat down once, my samurai comes back even more powerful as his kindred animal spirit samurai. Like a bear or something, like Bear Samurai, the big club and all that stuff. Really neat. And then if you die, you're done, and everybody loses the game. So you got to keep yourself alive. But anyway, that is Samurai Spirit. A really, really fun game. It's number 33 for me in my top 50. 32 is definitely a great co-op game. Definitely a great storytelling game. Definitely a great solo playable game. The drawback for me is, and it's had some good expansions which have prolonged the life of it. The reason it's not, and it's, oh, by the way, it is also fantastic for the family and fantastic for new people. The reason it's not higher on my list, or lower rather, however you want to look at that, is because once you play through it once, the replayability is not as good as some of the other games. And that is Mice and Mystics. Now, it's got replayability, and I like it, but it's not as good as some other games. Now, the storytelling in this, the artwork in the book, the miniatures, the development of it is fantastic. I love it. You're playing these heroes that have been turned into mice to get out of a dungeon from an evil queen that's taken over the kingdom and stuff like that. And you got to escape there and then make your way into this world where animals, creatures are now intelligent. Your spell's gone awry and create all these intelligent creatures and blah blah blah. And I'm not going to spoil the story overall, but basically the first scenario is you trying to escape. And get out of the dungeons with your lives as little mice, with your pin swords and your button shields and stuff like that. And you're fighting off things like cockroaches and rats and centipedes, and it just makes it really good. One of the coolest games, when it came out, it was so cool. I was like, oh man, this is such a great game. But again, you play through it once and it loses a lot of, you can play through it again and again, but it loses a lot of its replayability. You can play different characters in that, but a lot of the you can ratchet up the difficulty. A lot of the outcome's going to be the same. The story is definitely going to be the same. It doesn't really alter the story. But that is going to be number 32, Mice and Mystics. Really good game. Lots of expansions for it now. Makes it worthwhile. I know it came out with another offshoot game of birds that are mice on birds that are fighting each other called Tail Feathers. I got to see that at BGG Con demoed. I did not pick it up. It was not my style of game, but it was cool. Okay, 31. Now 31, man, I have a love-hate relationship with this game. It should be in my top 10. The reason it's not is because when I got it, the rules were so bad that they are now on, I think, version 2.0. And the rules themselves, the mechanics of the rules weren't bad. The rules as they were written were bad. Cards were poorly done, and you had to upgrade. And that's not okay. Now, this was a Kickstarter game, one of the first big ones, and this company has made other games. And, you know, I picked up most of them, but this one, and this is a great game. It's in my top 50. That is Myth, and I'm going to specifically say Myth 2.0. So, Myth is a dungeon crawler, top category for me. It's got fantastically unique mechanics where you don't have to take turns, and you play these cards and build up threat that create more events that happen. And you can play out a sequence. Like I can take an action, then you can take an action, then the other person can take an action. It makes it really cool. The powers and abilities of the characters are great. The problem was that in the first iteration of the game, the rules were so bad you had to decipher it and go. I had like 6 or 7 different printed books, and you can go back and look at my playthroughs. I played it as version 1, played as version 2.0 when it came out. Version 2.0 played a lot smoother. But that's why it's not as high on my list. Also, while it's cooperative and can easily be played solo, it is a gamer's game again. It is not easy or accessible. It's definitely one for the thinking gamer. It's got a really cool, and it's very open in its mechanics. You can throw in a quest or not. You can throw in some extra treasures or not. You can kind of build the scenarios the way you go. It's got a book of scenarios that I've played through a lot of, and it's got like a gazillion cool miniatures, and you fight a ton of them. Like your characters is like out of some kind of action RPG where you do a whirlwind through and just kill 10 things in a row. Very satisfying that way. Mechanically really neat, very unique with the board and the way it's laid out. But again, the first iteration of it, the rules were so bad that it almost ruined the game for a lot of people. Didn't ruin it for me. I just did a lot of research and got it played and showed people how to play it. And I remember when I first did my first playthrough of it, I said, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to get it done. And everybody said, dude, you're brave. That's awesome. Do it. And I was like, okay. And I did it. And man, I got some flack over it too because it was very hard to run on video. That is Myth 2.0, not the original version. If you get the original version, you're going to have to upgrade it. And there's upgrade kits for it and things like that. And that's not okay. I mean, I had to replace all the cards and everything, which I did gladly because I like the game and I'm keeping it. It's staying on my shelf. That's Myth. That was number 31. So number 30. Number 30 is another one that encompasses a series of games. And the first one, I still think may be my favorite. I'm not sure. Anyway, the second one was my least favorite, even though I thought it would be one of my more favorites. And that is the Pathfinder adventure card game. This is a great storytelling game. It's long. It's accessible from a mechanic standpoint, but it's a long game. And I'm finding that I'm playing through the app and really enjoying that. There's an iPad. I don't know if there's an Android version. There's an iPad version of it. If you get it, if you like what I'm talking about, go get it. It's cheap. It's fun. You'll learn the game. It is a card-driven game, and it has a timer. There's these blessing deck, really interesting mechanic timer. You're playing a Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons style character from the Pathfinder series with, again, a set of unique abilities and cards. And you have a deck, and the deck also represents your health. If you run out of cards, then you go down, and the more damage you take, or the more things that happen, the less cards you have accessible to. And you can build cards and experience up as you go through the scenario. That's one of the coolest aspects of it. On the downside, the experience leveling is not very fast. So it doesn't feel wholly satisfying to tick a box and go, after that whole adventure, I get to have one extra card in my hand. Woohoo! But you might also get some cool stuff. Some magic items, things like that along the way. That's probably more satisfying than some of the leveling aspect of it, where you get to go, I just got +1 strength and that's it after all that. And it's had several expansions to it. I'm trying to remember the names of them all. But I think the first one, the Wrath of the Rune Lords, I think it is, or Rise of the Rune Lords, was one of my favorite. And the Wrath of the Righteous was my other one. The one in the middle with the pirate ships, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm looking at it. That's why I'm seeing it's on my shelf over here. Anyway, I don't remember which one it is. Skull and Shackles, probably my least favorite. I don't know. I'm vacillate between that one. But because there's multiples in the series, and I do like them all, I gave it the spot of number 30 in my top 50. And again, that's collective number 30. Like I said, you guys aren't going to agree with some of this as a solo or co-op game for yourself. But when I put this list together, I was thinking of several things, one of them being accessibility. So some of these ones that are up on the list are really good games, but aren't as accessible as some of the ones lower on my list, which you'll get as I go along. Also, storytelling is a big deal for me. One of the things that the Pathfinder game does pretty well, it does it better in the app for some reason, is tell a story. And when you get to my top 15 or 20, you'll definitely see the theme in that. But it's really good. Anyway, that's my 39 through 30. And so, I really want feedback. Let me know what you think. I'm going to hesitate here. Probably wait a couple days and film the next one so I get a lot of feedback on the two that I'm going to post. I really want a lot of feedback on it. Let's see, how long have we been doing this? We've been doing this video for a bit. I don't want to make them too long, and I'm not going to go drone on and on about the games, but I do want to get your feedback. Let's discuss them a lot, because when I do this again next year, which I will, my games might shift quite a bit, and you're probably starting to wonder, what are the games? If these are my top 50, these are the higher end ones. What are the ones on the bottom? You're going to guess some. So I'm probably going to make a contest out of this. We'll see. Guess my top 10, guys. See if you can figure out what my top 10 are going to be. I think the number one guesser, let's say my top 5. Top 5, number one guesser I'm going to give a game to. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the likes, subscribes, all the stuff, the feedback I get. I love it when you guys come and help me correct rules, because I got to tell you, filming games and recording them, and when I first started this and saw people doing it, I go, that looks pretty easy, and then I started doing it and going, wow, it's really hard to keep track of rules while you're trying to film and talk about the mechanics and the gameplay. On some games roll very smoothly. You're still going to make some mistakes. One of the guys one of the people I like to watch, of course, is Rado. Rado runs through, but he's got somebody that actually corrects things for him. That's awesome. I wish I had one of those. And then posts them on the YouTube channel for himself. And of course, there's Watch It Played. And right now, some of my YouTube guys, Catweasel, Paul, he's doing great stuff, and I enjoy what he's doing. Allows me to watch some games that I don't have in my collection too. Anyway, guys, enjoy this series. I hope you get something out of it. I hope you find some games that you like. If there's anything really intriguing, write me. Let me know if you have questions. And also, commentary. Comment on these games. Tell me, Doug, you're crazy. The Pathfinder adventure games should be in your top 10. Well, maybe, but again, accessibility is one of my thoughts here. But they are all very accessible from a solo playable state, and also from a co-op version or co-op game. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get back to Black Orchestra, get another video out of that in the next 24 hours as well. And I'm really trying to give you guys a lot of great content. So please help support my channel with likes and shares and money if you dare to or deem to. I appreciate that, because it helps fund all this stuff that I have to do, camera equipment, things like that. I will talk to you again soon. Enjoy, and enjoy my top 50. Next up, we're going to be doing I think it's going to be number 29 through 21, actually, because then I'm going to get at my top 20, and we're going to talk a lot more about those. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.